Many well-meaning Ghanaians and friends of Ghana worry that John Mahama's attitude and words set Ghana back, and so it's critical that the NPP is ready. Former President John Mahama and the National Democratic Congress is not the alternative, and we cannot continue to say that enough. Ladies and gentlemen, John Mahama wants us to believe that he cares about Ghana and he has solutions to Ghana's perennial problems of weak revenue mobilization, high debt, investment in infrastructure, rigidities, job creation, and general difficulties in generating and protecting livelihoods. It is not true. Whatever John Mahama is doing now is about John Mahama and his personal gain. We do not believe it's about the people of Ghana because none of his sayings has a plan for Ghana. His track record in governance in Ghana shows that he is unable to help Ghana to progress. Indeed, any would-be political leader of this era who refuses to recognize the true depth of social and economic stress imposed by COVID-19, seriously amplifying already existing challenges, shows that he is only bent on taking power for his own purposes and not for Ghana. The most powerful democracy on earth, the United States of America, has had to spend trillions of dollars in deficit financing of public infrastructure to kickstart employment and pay direct cash subsidies to victims of COVID-19 amid job losses in the millions. They have a publicly funded program to administer COVID-19 jabs to over 300 million people. We in Ghana, by virtue of our weak position in the world of international finance, do not have the luxury of deficit financing our way out of our economic difficulties. Our government is obliged to finance roads, energy, water, sanitation, ICT, connectivity, education, health, and salaries, and support job creation from a weak tax base, expensive loans, and inadequate concessional grants. Faced by these traditional challenges, the NPP has articulated a vision of Ghana beyond aid and is seeking through innovative measures to expand the tax base, clean up revenue leakages, tighten expenditure controls, and diversify economic activity into value addition for international competitiveness. We, the NPP, have a plan. The NPP government have a roadmap, and we are implementing it. On the other hand, John Dramani Mahama is seeking the mandate of the NDC to lead again for the fifth time. The first time was by default as he was sworn in as president on the sad demise of His Excellency Professor Atta Mills. May he rest in peace. At the time he was sworn in, he delivered a critical policy actions paper in September 2012, in which he decried all the ills of Ghana without any workable solutions. And I have a copy here. Then he bulldozed his way to the nomination in 2012, winning an election that was disputed in the Supreme Court for 8 months in 2012. The second time, he won an election that we were in court for 8 months disputing. His first term then as presidency was distinguished by his declaration to Parliament that the beautiful middle-income economy inherited from Kufuor had been chewed to the bone under his leadership. And despite the lavish economic forum held at the Royal Senchi Hotel, supposedly to develop homegrown economic solutions, he returned the same economy to the IMF. As president, he took the nomination in 2016, as the NDC's nomination, without challenge, going on to lose the 2016 elections with a record margin for an incumbent. His own party review, led by Professor Kwesi Botwe, blamed him for the loss, citing a rising culture of monocracy, waning political ideology leading to ethnocentrism, neglect of social democratic focus in policy making, alienation from voters, and poor messaging that did not resonate with the worsening living conditions of the people. It is not my language, the Kwesi report says worsening living conditions of the people. Your mama was in charge. They didn't have touch the worsening living conditions of the people, and it's one of the reasons he lost the 2016 election. Perhaps for redemption, but more likely for economic reasons, his party gifted him the nomination in 2020, only for him to lose again. He is yet to recover from that loss, leading him to all manner of stale and incredible allegations about the 2020 general elections. Don't get it wrong. It is deliberate. The allegations, however incredulous, are designed to reinforce his dubious claim for a fifth run at the NDC leadership for the 2024 general elections. Hence the elaborate thank you tour, concluding with a televised thank you lecture yesterday, the 10th of November 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are focused on some of the things he said yesterday. Ghana is a multi-party democracy. It requires the participation of diverse political parties to be functional. Per Article 55 of the 1992 Constitution, political parties are to help form opinions and take charge of implementing ideas acceptable to the people. Indeed, Article 55(3) says, and I'll quote, "A political party is free to participate in shaping the political will of the people, to disseminate information on political ideas, social and economic programs of a national character, and sponsor candidates for elections to any public office," in quotes. So the real question, ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon, as demanded by the Constitution, has the NDC, under former President and several times candidate Mahama, presented credible political ideas and a social and economic program capable of moving Ghana beyond the present and into a future of wealth creation? Please, let us together examine briefly his claims against his delivery yesterday. Your Mahama and the NDC are yet, as a social democratic party, Your Mahama and the NDC are yet to deliver one socially sensitive policy for the benefit of Ghanaians to justify the attack of social democracy. One socially sensitive policy. The monumental failure of the one-time premium for the National Health Insurance Scheme is a glaring example. They collapsed free maternal health care. They delivered a few cargo vans in the name of ambulances, and up to now, we don't know what happened to the accounting for those ambulances. They opposed drone services to improve medical supply delivery. They struggled with the capitation grant for schools. It was in arrears, several millions. They barely sustained metro mass transportation. They sank Maslock with alleged corruption, and it's in court. They just about managed to continue with LEAP, Livelihood Empowerment Program, and school feeding, though they left all these programs with heavy arrears. Above all, they opposed and continue to oppose free education, a policy that is perhaps the most socially inclusive in the Fourth Republic. All these are socially sensitive programs initiated and driven by the new Patriotic Party. And yet, yesterday, Your Mahama had a long intro touting his credentials as a social democrat personally and that of his party, and couldn't point to one policy that alleviates poverty effectively for a majority of Ghanaians in Ghana. On the thank you tour, which obviously we all realize turned into a campaign trail, Your Mahama, who is seeking your mandate to come back into government for only 4 years, spoke about 4 themes, none of which he offered solutions for, and will deal with those themes. The first is that the 2020 general elections were violently rigged against his victory. He keeps saying that, and it is deliberate. It is part of the plan to delude and deceive his party. But only he talks like that. The rest of the country and the International Observer Committee knows otherwise. Cordio, the local election coalition observation team, corroborated the EU findings, the International Observer Team, of a free, fair, peaceful, and credible election, whilst several media houses, not the MPP, several media houses called the election for President Akufo-Addo well before the EC formally did. And why were they able to do so? Because there was a transparent counting and collation process that parallel organizations could do parallel. The same EU did a parallel count, CODIO did a parallel count which corroborated EU, the media houses did a parallel count, and they were able to declare Nana Akufo-Addo as the winner even before the EC formally declared. So, where is John Mahama with his talk of violently rigged elections? Don't forget that within 6 months, in the teeth of COVID-19, a brand new voter register was compiled and voting done and declared. This is the first time ever that the entire electoral process from the register to election and declaration was paid by the government. The first time ever, all the expenses were paid by the government. The government also guaranteed the most peaceful Ghanaian election ever by ensuring that political vigilantism was eliminated. And it is a fact. It is a fact. There were no crocodiles, there were no hawks, there were no bodies who could come in and snatch your ballot or threaten you physically or otherwise. The very unfortunate deaths occurring from a security incident during counting, the Fs they keep referring to, happened during counting in an isolated area. It's not reflective of the entire election, and its use to describe the election is disingenuous and an affront to the families who have lost loved ones in that process. They should respect the families and let the families deal their loss while the security agencies deal with the investigation and other matters associated with that. So apart from John Mahama's fertile imagination and the cabal in the NDC leadership who prop him up, everybody else, including the Supreme Court of Ghana, knows that John Mahama lost the 2020 presidential elections fair and square. His second favorite topic is abandoned projects. It is now clear that no matter the response, he will insist on his abandoned projects mantra because it sounds good in his ears. Yet, if he had really done infrastructure in the interest of Ghanaians, the projects would have returned him to power. The truth is that with the IMF in charge, he had no money to do roads. He mortgaged the road fund to the hilt and sneaked through the back door of Kufuor's Cocoa Roads initiative to overburden Cocoa Board with billions of questionable road contracts. His suspect E-block accounting will be dealt with in other fora, but his record of signing onerous take-or-pay contracts and high-priced natural gas deals have to be exposed for the financial problems they continue to pose to the economy. His inability to fund fuel to run power plants protracted doomsday, causing havoc to businesses and social life, an admission he made to Parliament himself several times. His third favorite topic on the Thank You campaign tour is about current debt and how he was accused of borrowing excessively. Of course, if you borrow recklessly, you need to be told. His IMF journey was because of his inability to manage the dangerous territory into which he led our financial sector. He confessed in Parliament himself how recklessly the financial sector had been mismanaged, leading to major losses in savings, incomes, and jobs for banks and savings and loans financial houses. Former President Mahama was the architect-in-chief of the financial sector bubble and its collapse. Simplicity. He can never run away from putting us on the path to mega debt. In any event, in seeking to lead this country for only 4 years, he has not contributed positively to any conversation on restructuring the financing patterns of this country. How and where is he going to refinance the current public debt and run his programs, if any? His only solution is the IMF. In that case, What new thing is he bringing? Indeed, in refusing to admit the economic ravages of COVID-19, as well as laughing off the International Financial Magazine analysis that the NDC MP, Sam George's advocacy style, could cost us some standing on international financial markets, the former president continues to keep the question of his incompetence on the front burner. Arguably, with the whole world in deficit financing mode, this is the best time to get the old financial rules that disadvantage developing countries re-rating. And that exactly is what President Akufo-Addo and his financial advisors are doing. Business as usual will not deliver the resources needed to bridge our significant infrastructure and social capital gaps. Finally, former President Mahama talks about corruption on his thank you tour campaign trail. He's asking Ghana to give him, John Mahama, the working embodiment of corruption, the mandate to come and fight corruption. His solution to fighting corruption in his critical actions paper of 2012 was that he would lead by example. That was his solution to fighting corruption. He would lead by example. This example, John Mahama, had to be investigated by his own president for doubtful aircraft procurements. Is implicated as government official one in the Airbus bribery scandal and signed off on a $1.2 billion to deliver a project, $1.2 billion to deliver a project eventually done for $4.6 million, a difference of 26,000% in savings. This example was swallowed by alleged organized judgment debt shenanigans. Yes, John Mahama can talk about corruption, but he has not the faintest inkling of integrity to combat it. His attempt at dealing with employment is totally laughable. Researchers have said that since the NDC collapsed, what was left of Dr. Nkrumah's, researchers have said, that since the NDC collapsed, what was left of Dr. Nkrumah's state industries and public service expansion in the 1980s, it was the MPP under President Kufuor which started active state support of employment creation through the Presidential Special Initiatives and the National Youth Employment Program. Former President Mahama bastardized these programs with ghost names and dubious modules leading to flying guinea fowls. Graduates were organized under an unemployment umbrella, and the IMF stopped him from recruiting into the public sector. In spite of his long stay in power, Aspirant Mahama is yet to learn any lessons about public sector finances for job creation. In his speech, he complains, that is in his speech yesterday, he complains about a gap in financing of the public wage bill. Then he goes on to state that he's going to create 1 million jobs in the public sector. How is he going to fund those jobs? Has he so soon forgotten the public sector jobs do not turn a profit, but rather facilitate other sectors of the economy? Without clear revenue, how is he going to generate and pay 3 shifts of public sector workers? We have between 600 to 800,000 people we have a gap in salary payments for, and you want to triple it. 800 times 3 to 2.4 million in 3 shifts. How are you going to pay them? And you tell us you are going to create jobs in the public sector. In some ways, the near impossible promises show an unprepared John Mahama selfishly seeking your mandate by exploiting your current difficulties. The difficulties are real. The issues are real. Fuel prices are real. But John Mahama and the NDC are not the solution. The CDD post-election 2020 survey is very clear. All told, only 35% of the people surveyed voted for the NDC because of performance. And you add all the reasons for the result, only 35% voted for the NDC because of performance. The voter reduction against the MPP was for the MPP to react positively. Therefore, between 60 to 70% of voters expect changes in the MPP style of governance in order to continue to break the 8 rather than change to the NDC and let them set this country development agenda backwards. The MPP government will continue to respect our democracy. We will continue to respect the will of the people. We will continue to respect the people's rights and support the discharge of the people's obligations. We will continue to respect the dignity of the people. We will continue to push for substantial changes to the world financial architecture so we can also help our people out of distress. We will continue to champion programs that support the delivery of crucial infrastructure, create jobs and incomes. We will continue to fight the conditions that militate against your economic growth and your social welfare. We will continue as a party and government to offer clear visionary leadership that not only diagnoses problems but seeks to resolve them. We will continue to offer hope and belief in the Ghanaian and Ghana. Thank you for your attention. Nyanomne adofo minuan sentrefo da boss say wie mo de osiayo yo amabe